Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the WHOLESTIC Method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey, are you an aging athlete? Are you over 40 and struggling to get your desired results? I understand your frustrations. If you're like me, you're trying to get your running back or your cycling back or whatever sport you love to do, and you just can't figure out what's missing in your performance gains. How is your training and fueling program working for you? That's what I do. I personalize your nutrition and health program for you based on a bunch of different things. We collect data, collect clues from nutritional therapy assessment, from a food log with symptoms. Look at your genetics. If you've done something as DNA Fit, look at blood chemistry panels. Let's look at functional lab tests as a Vibrant Wellness wheat zoomer to test if you have leaky gut and sensitivity to wheat, peptides in foods. Look at food sensitivity labs. And Dutch tests, look at your hormones. So we look at all these hidden internal sources of chronic stress that may be impacting your ability to burn fat, improve performance, and longevity. So if you want to talk about how we can personalize your fueling, training, and performance plan, let me know. Set up a discovery call. Head to my website, debbiepotts.net, and reach out. Set up a call and we can chat about how I can help you be the best version of yourself. So you can stop blaming the aging process and instead change your mindset that you're embracing the change, that we train differently in our 40s and up versus what you did when you're 20, 30-year-old. We need to adjust how we eat, when we eat, why and how, but also match our nutrition with our exercise program and add some more health building lifestyle habits into our day. I call this all the WHOLESTIC Method comprehensive coaching program, where I work on individualizing clients' nutrition, exercise, stress reduction, sleep, movement, time outside, digestion and gut health, hydration, and my favorite, happiness, play, and laughter. So if you want to know more how you can be your best self, live your best life, and perform your best, head to debbiepotts.net, schedule a discovery call with me, and we can get started on your new health building journey. You can be that amazing athlete and stop blaming the aging process.
Hey there, it's Debbie, and I just wanted to do a special solo podcast to go over some stuff that's really interesting to me and think it might be helpful for you. I find a lot of clients that come to me for coaching as a health investigator to help athletes get their body and vibrant self back again, really helping people figure out what are the missing pieces of their puzzle to really optimize the whole athlete to perform their best in life and sports. And I'm finding a lot of people are just getting not a lot of results from seeing a regular doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner. I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner known as FDN. I've done Paul Chek Institute Holistic Health Coach certification. I've done Bob Seebohor's Metabolic Efficiency Specialist training, USA Triathlon Coaching certification. What else? I've done multiple NASM personal trainer, ACSM health and fitness instructor. I've done a lot. So I just have a lot of experience. But as a FDN practitioner, we are taught how to really be a health investigator and look at multiple lab test results. Put the results, say, from your doctor of your blood chemistry panel into a functional range, an optimal range. So when people come to me and they just are struggling to get results, even though they're doing all the air quotes right things, they're really frustrated and they're getting help from different programs, and even functional medicine doctors or naturopaths. Everyone's just treating the symptoms with a supplement and perhaps lifestyle habits, but we're not always getting the right answers because you need someone that's going to spend a lot of time going down different rabbit holes, looking at the whole picture of not just your blood chemistry test, but also a stool test to measure what's going on in your gut, look at hormones, look at a urine test, organic acids test, look at the metabolites, look at food sensitivities, food zoomers, as from Vibrant Wellness or Cyrix Labs. So anyways, people come to me and their doctor says everything's fine, everything's normal, but then I look at their blood chemistry panel, I put it in my little cheat sheet here and put the results in, and I look at the numbers that they have from their blood chemistry test into our functional range. And I look at multiple markers. Then I look at our sheet. If that's below our functional range or above the functional range, what is that a clue towards? What does that indicate that there might be something imbalanced? But there's a lot to it. So it's not just, hey, that's low B vitamins, that's low vitamin C. You might be hypochloremic, so you don't have enough stomach acid. You might have a parasite pathogen infection. So we're going to give you this for that. Instead, I would love for everyone to get someone that helps them from a holistic approach, looking at the whole individual and looking at multiple labs. Say, as FDN practitioners, we're trained to look at 3 to 5 labs and see what is causing the imbalance. It's leading to metabolic chaos. What can we identify in these functional lab tests and reveal these hidden sources of internal stress that are contributing? It's never causing just one thing causing all the problems, the imbalances, but it's a whole domino effect, and it's always multiple things. So getting a hair tissue mineral test, getting a full thyroid panel, not just TSH, getting the inflammatory markers, as most people's doctors are not, even, or doing an iron panel, or getting neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, sonophils, basophils, looking at MCV, MCH in your blood test, but additional markers as insulin. You have to ask for it. My doctor, I couldn't get it tested because they said I wasn't type 2 diabetic. I want to prevent getting diabetes. So we want to get these things done in advance before we're sick. A1C, your homocysteine, your histamine, your CRP, what is going on? Your vitamin D, we always want to get checked. And then the thyroid panel, we want to look at TSH, total T4, free T4, total T3, and free T3. Reverse T3 is hard to get. Then we want to look at the antibodies, TPO and TBG. I want to know what's going on. So what I wanted to talk about for a little bit today for a special episode is what we want to look at thyroid, because what's frustrating me is people are not looking at the whole picture. Their TSH is low, so they're given thyroid medication, or it's high. So if you are just taking this for that, we're not figuring out why is that not working? Why is there imbalance? Why is there something broken? And let's go backwards. Let's start from the foundations. As a nutritional therapy practitioner, we work on first things first. Work north to south. Don't work upstream. Start up top, the brain. Are you eating in a parasympathetic state? Are you digesting your food with the proper salivary gland enzymes in your mouth? Are you breaking your food down, chewing it, and are you getting the right enzymes released and stomach acid acidic enough? And so there's I'm saying out of order, but really want to look at what you're eating, how you're eating, when and why, and supporting that. How is your stress? Are we balancing our blood sugar? Are we balancing our minerals? How is our liver congestion? Is there liver congested? Is there congestion dysfunction in our I think of it rinse, wash, and elimination cycles, our phase 1, 2, and 3 detox. So there's so much to it. And I go down many rabbit holes trying to see someone's lab results and look at their lifestyle, look at their workout schedule, look at their biometrics as their Oura ring, look at their blood sugar levels. Everyone's individual. So there isn't a one size fits all. So if I get your blood chemistry, I put it in my spreadsheet and then I make a little chart and write in what does that mean if it's low or high? Zinc deficiency, liver dysfunction, low B12, folate. What else is going on? Is there a pattern I keep seeing? Liver dysfunction, liver dysfunction, liver dysfunction. Or, looking at lymphocytes, monocytes, infection, or is it liver dysfunction? It's telling me that I need to investigate more by running another test or two as a GI map or Genova Diagnostics as a 3-day stool test. And looking at your iron panel, looking at your thyroid panel. Yeah, do I have low thyroid? But what type of low thyroid is it? If I just treat low thyroid with a medication, is that helping me get results? Often not, because there's different patterns of low thyroid. So there's primary thyroidism or hypothyroidism, secondary hypothyroidism, and there's different kinds more related to pituitary gland as secondary, or there's another kind that's related to more something going on with your hypothalamus. There's hyperthyroidism, there's thyroid underconversion, there's thyroid overconversion and decreased TPG, and there's thyroid binding globulin elevation, there's thyroid resistance, there's subclinical hypothyroidism. So we need to look at the patterns. Even when I get a Dutch test back of someone's hormone panel, I'm looking at their rhythms of cortisol to melatonin. I'm looking at the rhythm of cortisol throughout the day, looking at their hormones, looking at their metabolized levels of cortisol versus what's available. So then I need to look at their GI test and go, okay, is there H. pylori? What does their normal bacteria flora look like? What's high, what's low? What's their microbiota looking like? Okay, so we don't know unless we test. So it's important to invest in your health because it's not cheap and insurance doesn't cover these tests. So overgrowth of bacteria, if you have all these elevated markers, what does that mean? If you have potential autoimmune triggers of bacteria in your gut, how does that affect your health? So we always want to start with your gut, but I would work before that. To start working on your gut, it's working on what you're eating, when, how, and why. Do we see some parasites in there, right? So do you have any worms? And then we look at the markers on the GI tests, intestinal health. We have markers of digestion, GI markers. We have immune response to your secretory IgA, anti-gliadin. We have inflammation. Calprotectin is a marker. And then zonulin. So we can see that there is reaction to wheat. We can see there's some signs of liver congestion with beta-glucuronidase. We can see that your immune system's overactive because there's something going on in your body to create this high stress response. All the guards are there. And so we want to look at this whole picture. So going back to thyroid today, yes, there's different thyroid patterns. So if you are getting just one marker, which most people just come to me and they're on thyroid medication, but it's just because the TSH is not in the right range. Well, what about your T4 and T3? What about your reverse T3, which is putting your brakes on? And so we want to look at your hypothalamus to pituitary gland to adrenal gland is HPA axis. And then there's the hypothalamus pituitary gland to the thyroid. And then there's the ovaries for women. So the gonads. So we want to look at how's the hypothalamus pituitary gland communication? Is it overworking towards the adrenals and all the tensions over there to have us respond to stressors that are chronic and really causing us to put everything else on hold? So we really want to look at the whole picture, because if you're just taking a thyroid medication, not dealing with why is this high or low, we're not going to get much results. So if you're one of those people trying to do all the right things, you've got all this medication you got from your doctor or the naturopath, but is someone actually spending hours and hours figuring out your health puzzle, putting the missing pieces puzzle together, because it's time consuming. Trust me, it's really a lot of work, but that is what we do as FDN practitioners, is really be a health investigator. And my focus is helping athletes be fit and healthy from the inside out. So we really want to look at the whole picture, not just these lab markers and just take a supplement just because that is high or low. It doesn't work for everybody. So if you're one of those people like me, that's a little more complicated, we might want to do a little more in-depth investigation to collect more clues. So going back to the thyroid, what does it do? Body temperature, bone health, glucose metabolism, hormone balance, nutrient absorption, digestion, detoxification. It's involved in aging, fat metabolism, and cholesterol levels. How does someone find out if something is wrong with your thyroid? Well, we always hear about signs and symptoms of hypothyroid. It's that foggy thinking, my hands are cold, my feet are always cold, I'm really sensitive to cold. That would be me. Hair loss, joint pain, muscle pain. Higher cholesterol is a big red flag. So if your cholesterol is high and they say, hey, take statin drugs, well, did they test your cholesterol? Did they look, or your thyroid panel, to see why is your cholesterol high? That's another annoying thing. Memory problems, weight gain. So if you're just having these symptoms and you go to your doctor, they're going to say, hey, take statin drugs, your cholesterol's high. Hey, let's get you on antidepressants because you're feeling depressed. Not looking at the why. So you're never, in my opinion, going to get a lot of results if you're not looking at the whole picture and getting to the foundations. So getting, as I said, the full thyroid panels, TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, thyroglobulin, thyroid binding globulin, TPO antibodies, TGAB or TGB antibodies, and TSI antibodies. What causes thyroid disorders? This is what we learned from our FDN practitioner program. So if you're interested in becoming a practitioner, you can let me know. But common cause, and this is what led me to this, a lot of people have autoimmunity. So think of, you hear the word Hashimoto's thyroiditis, Graves' disease, or common ones of hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism. But big one is I always talk about chronic stress. Remember, stress is on, immune system's down. Stress is on, your blood sugar's up. Stress is on, everything else is slowed down or shut off. So chronic stress and elevated cortisol levels, especially, remember the word chronic. If it happens all the time, it's that leaky faucet, you're just dripping that water all the time, can interfere with the hormone signaling necessary for proper thyroid function. Now, big one, we'll come back to that. Now, elevated body burden, what does that mean? Excess toxins and or an impaired detoxification system, which most people I look at have congested liver and impaired detox pathways. What that does is have that liver congested, so you're going to have extra stress in the liver. It's going to be overloaded. So the liver plays a vital role in the conversion, listen to that, conversion of thyroid hormones. So a sluggish liver can be the root cause of a thyroid disorder. Did anyone tell you that before? No. T4 needs to be converted into T3. So inactive thyroid hormone to active thyroid needs to be converted in the liver and in the gut. If you have a sluggish liver, that's not going to happen, really, as fast as we need it. Also, gut dysfunction, huge part of thyroid health. Healthy gut flora is necessary for adequate conversion of thyroid hormones, parasites, pathogenic bacteria, yeast fungus overgrowth, increased gut permeability, known as leaky gut, and inflammation can lead to lower levels of your thyroid hormone. So, does taking a thyroid medication help improve your thyroid when you still have a congested liver, when you still have a messed up gut? No, it doesn't. You're just putting a Band-Aid on, temporarily fixing that problem of a slow thyroid, but we still haven't dealt with why is it slow. Simple thing as a liver and a GI repair, 90 days, fix it up. Every once in a while, you go through just a maintenance protocol and you're good. but forever on a thyroid medication, we're not figuring out why. Okay, so why? Why is that happening? Is always a question you need to ask. Gluten. Now, people think gluten is just a thing, gluten sensitivity. I see all the time when I test people. So maybe it's different in Europe, but our wheat is contaminated plus with glyphosate. And gluten is a common trigger for thyroid autoimmunity, regardless of whether you are sensitive to gluten. So gluten sensitivity, however, is more common than you might realize and goes undetected unless specific gluten sensitivity tests are performed. And I like to use the wheat zoomer from Vibrant Wellness. So I brought this up in a recent podcast. If you look up Dr. Amy Myers, what are gluten cross-reactive foods? Just to say that again, because there's a great article, Gluten Cross-Reactive Foods, Dr. Amy Myers, gluten cross-reactivity and molecular mimicry. Are they the same? So the process of cross-reactivity is the same concept as molecular mimicry, and it's what it means is your immune system confuses benign molecules as invaders and begins to destroy them. So unlike gluten cross-reactivity in the case of molecular mimicry, probably saying that wrong, say everything wrong. Your body, such as thyroid tissue in those Hashimoto's, is being misidentified and attacked. So your body sees thyroid tissue, gluten as thyroid tissue, so it mistakes it. And often that's with casein of milk. So a lot of people can't do dairy. So there's gluten cross-reactivity foods, commonly happens in the dairy. I find more cow dairy because casein is a protein found in dairy, and it's similar to the gliadin protein found in gluten. In fact, Dr. Myers' article here says it's estimated that at least half of those who are gluten intolerant are also sensitive to dairy. If gluten is an issue for you, it's likely gluten cross-reactivity will occur with dairy products as well. Okay, so 6 foods your body can confuse with gluten because of their similar protein structure. Dairy products is milk and cheese, corn, millet, oats, rice, and yeast. All right, so 6 of them. Remember that: dairy, corn, millet, oats, rice, and yeast. So if you have thyroid issues, you may want to eliminate all of those 6 foods as well as gluten at least 30 days and notice how you feel. So elimination diet for gluten cross-reactivity, the cross-reactive foods might be beneficial. You can do lab tests for gluten cross-reactive foods as Cyrix Labs, the Array 4 panel, or Vibrant Wellness Zoomer bundle I do with my clients. So look at that. Taking moment to read that article is really helpful. But let's go back into thyroid health, because I come back to this again. People are not looking at the whole picture. So remember, we had liver congestion and gut dysfunction, and eating foods that your body thinks is gluten, thinks the body sees it as a thyroid. So thyroid damages it when you eat gluten and or those foods I just listed. Okay, so what should you eat? The optimal diet, we've learned at FDN, is to support the thyroid function. The goal is to reduce inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, optimize nutrient density, eliminate leaky gut triggers, and identify and removing those foods that you're sensitive to. So test and not guess. I say that there all the time. Since autoimmunity is the most common cause of thyroid disorders, it's a good idea to remove all the foods that we just talked about known to trigger or exacerbate autoimmune disorders. In addition to these basic guidelines, people with thyroid disorders should also reduce consumption of goitrogenic foods as soy, cruciferous vegetables, I cannot speak today, millet, etc. You can find more information online which specific foods have these properties, but that's if you have antibodies, the Hashimoto's. So We want to eliminate gluten, soy, corn, refined sugar, and alcohol because all these foods can increase inflammation and can cause sugar problems and promote leaky gut. You want to also consider eliminating non-gluten grains and legumes since they promote blood sugar dysregulation and leaky gut. So as we talked about, most non-gluten grains can cross-react with gluten, meaning that if you have a gluten sensitivity, if you eat these foods, your body may react as if you were eating gluten. You may also want to eliminate dairy, eggs, and nightshades, nuts, and seeds, as dairy can affect blood sugar and the most common cross-reactive foods with gluten. Eggs, nightshades, nuts, and seeds are often common triggers for autoimmunity. So I would be thinking, okay, what the heck am I supposed to eat, right? So if I take out everything, that's why the carnivore diet is a very good reset diet or a strict AIP for 30 days. And then reintroduce foods. Now, if we've tested you and we found these foods, we identified the red flags of foods that you're reactive to, we want to take them out for 90 days and then heal and seal your gut. Gradually reintroduce foods that are good for you, see how you react. I use people's heart rate monitor and their glucose meters to test if those foods are okay. Now, we want to focus on what to eat is nutrient-dense foods. We want to get enough iodine and selenium for our thyroid. Remember, thyroid is made from tyrosine and iodine. So if we don't eat enough if we don't eat enough quality protein and we have poor digestion, so our enzymes and our HCl levels, if they're too low, we're not properly breaking down protein into amino acids and getting that tyrosine. So we need the ingredients to make thyroid hormones, okay? So what we eat is important. So we want to focus on, if you can, organ meats. They contain the nutrients essential for thyroid health. I rather take a supplement and use a Sharpie pin, cover up the label. So I don't want to be eating organ meats, but there's nutrient-dense foods is usually organ meat. So make sure you get grass-fed, of course. Other foods to focus on, herbs and spices, nuts and seeds, if they're not an autoimmune trigger for you. Often you need to prepare foods properly, so soaking them and dehydrating them prior to consumption helps digestion, or having a nut butter instead. I sometimes like to get those little packets to take with me, but a nuts butter instead of the seeds sometimes react better for people if it irritates your gut. Seafood, fish, and then healthy fats, as our hormones are made from fat. So we want to also get avocado, coconut, olives, tallow, etc. Ghee, another good one, organic vegetables too. So we want to really focus on that nutrient-dense diet. But remember, you can't not work on the lifestyle habits. So even if you're taking a supplement for whatever you're working on, you still need to put the work in to do the WHOLESTIC Method elements, okay? So the WHOLESTIC Method's 8 elements are nutrition, we're talking about now, exercise, stress management, sleep and quality sleep and sleep hygiene routine, movement, mobility throughout the day, gut health, and there's proper digestion there too to get a healthy microbiome. And then we have hydration. That's where we want to work on our minerals, get enough minerals in. And then really important is happiness, play, laughter, being with people that make you feel good, right? Get rid of the toxic energy robbers in your life when you can, or reduce your time with them. So really important, the lifestyle factors are super important to your health overall, but also helping if you are hypothyroid or liver congestion and gut imbalance. So it's all connected. It's never just one thing, because if you probably have some stress in your life, you probably have some adrenal issues, which you probably have some thyroid issues, and you probably have some gut issues because of your stress, and then the gut issues, you're probably overloading your liver, so then you probably have some liver issues, and you probably have some digestive issues. So it's overwhelming, but we need to work at one thing at a time and prioritize. And that's based on you and where you are. So A coach, as myself, meets you where you're at, and we set goals up and work through it. Okay, so getting plenty of sleeps. Here's some tips to review. We talked about this a lot. Cold, dark room. I wear my eye mask. No artificial light for at least 2 hours before bedtime. Develop a bedtime ritual to cue your nervous system that it's time for sleep. Exercise appropriately. I call it the Goldilocks effect, which is for everything, but exercise especially. We want to get movement in throughout the day, not just exercise first thing in the morning and sit and do nothing the rest of the day. Having little micro workouts is a little more effective and healthier than just doing a big workout in the morning and then nothing the rest of the day. So I think breakfast, lunch, dinner as move times, but getting in strength training. I think a lot of endurance athletes, and I just watched Oceanside 70.3 race last weekend. A lot of people don't look like they do strength training. They're just doing endurance exercise, and it doesn't really always change their body if they're not changing their nutrition and their sleep and their stress and their exercise doing excessive cardio. So make sure you're doing strength training and avoid overtraining. So overtraining will increase oxidative stress and really not help your adrenal and thyroid issues. So we really want to look at your training program, look at your recovery, look at your metrics from Aura, Garmin, Whoop, whatever you're using, and figure out, okay, how are you doing taking care of the whole you? Then we want to reduce sources of chemical, mental, emotional stress. So remember, we've got this stress beaker and it doesn't discriminate. So your hypothalamus responds to that stress. So if we overload external stressors, internal stressors, that stress beaker starts overfilling. The cup is overfull. And we need to figure out what we can control. So what you can do is practice daily stress management techniques. So even stop, pausing, reset, taking 3 breaths before you eat, when you're driving your car, deep breathing, doing some journaling, gratitude, manifestation work, meditation, all of that helps. EFT, stretching, yin yoga type of work, anything you can do daily though. We want to implement stress management habits we can add in and be consistent with. So they're really important tools, especially remember thyroid's usually adrenal issues. So we want to work on that HPT and HPA axis system. We also want to look at toxins, chemicals in our household. So what cleaning products are you using? Have you switched what laundry detergent soap you're using, your dishwasher, your hand soaps, your lotions, your makeup? Check out EWG website to look at your products, see if they are filled with chemicals. So let's look at your chemical or your household products and your personal care products and swap them out with non-toxic and gluten-free varieties. It's amazing how much bad ingredients can be in there. Remember, your skin is a mouth, so we want to really take care of ourselves by watching what we even use on our body and in our household, because you breathe in that smell and you want to, I like to have the windows open, get fresh air, but just really get rid of all those toxic cleaning products. So stop using hair dyes, fingernail polish, perfumes. I haven't really done that. I like my nails polished, and I'm doing that today actually. But I know that's bad. Perfumes I got rid of. I use more essential oils and more natural perfumes. So you don't have to smell and not look pretty, but you can you can have alternatives that are toxic free. I went to Natural Product Show in Anaheim a few weeks ago, and there's lots of skincare and makeup and household products that are natural, chemical free. So just choose to take care of yourself and your whole family by choosing the right products. So you want to get rid of kitchen plasticware, replace with glass, stainless steel, or wood. It's funny when I do people's hair tissue mineral analysis, I found a lot of people are high in aluminum. So if you're one of those people drinking out of cans or cooking with aluminum pots and pans, really make some adjustment. Try to trade out the non-stick pans for cast iron, ceramic, or stainless steel. Try not to drink out of aluminum cans. So if you're going to have a sparkling soda or drink, pour it into a glass. Try to use those glass bottles instead. Try not to eat out of canned food. So the aluminum is really high in a lot of people when I get their tests back. And just be aware of your negative thoughts and feelings. I have a mantra of positive attitude, positive vibes, positive energy. And really that emotional stress can really be toxic and overload your beaker of stress. So remember that it all accumulates. So the emotional stress, the mental stress, the chemical stress, on top of internal stressors as bad bacteria and the food you eat and the vegetable oils, the glyphosate, all just accumulate. So those are some tips we have from our FDN handout we use with clients. Now, going back to the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis, how that is so important to work on and test, as I do the Dutch test with clients. It's a urine measurement over 4 times during the day to really get the whole picture. Remember, when your doctor does the blood work, that's what's measuring at that time of day. So say your doctor appointment's at 9 a.m., that's what you're measuring, what's going on at that time. So we really want to look at the whole picture. So the HP axis, we want to measure and look at that whole picture because, let's review. When we're under stress, the HP axis steps on the gas to initiate a stress response. All messenger hormones of HP axis increase in an effort to raise cortisol. An increase in the messenger hormone CRH and cortisol inhibit the release of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So that's going to reduce the production of the T4 hormone, thyroid T4. So then we get elevated cortisol. That's interfering with the conversion of thyroid hormone T4 to the active thyroid hormone T3. So that's going to lower the overall T3 level, right? And then if you have liver congestion, we'll talk about that. Elevated cortisol levels also drive up production of what's called reverse T3. That's really hard for people to get from their doctor, so usually you have to go to Ulta Labs and order it yourself. And this reduces the cell receptor sensitivity to thyroid hormone. So let's say that again. Elevated cortisol levels above your optimal range can drive up the production of reverse T3. That reduces the cell receptors sensitivity to thyroid hormone. So stress is on, thyroid is lowered. So the combination of decreasing your T4 and T3 along with increase of reverse T3 really puts a brakes on your metabolic function. So does taking a thyroid medication help solve why is your thyroid low? No, you need to address the stress levels. You need to address the liver and the gut health. Digestion. It's the whole picture. Taking a pill does not supplement doesn't just help fix everything. So remember, when HP dysfunction, it can drive a thyroid disorder. A treatment directed towards the thyroid specifically is rarely helpful. We're taught in FDN as practitioners, we're health investigators, really looking the whole picture. So you should focus on balancing your hormones as cortisol to DHA ratio while addressing relevant underlying stressors that we talked about. If we do the Dutch test, we can see this. The DHEA appears to be the action of DHEA can help us look at what's going on with the thyroid hormone. So we really want to test Dutch test, test the gut and your blood chemistry with that full thyroid panel, and ideally, if you can, food sensitivities. So what are the triggers of chronic stress? Blood sugar dysregulation, insulin resistance, physical trauma, injury, and even trauma in general. I know a lot of people have chronic mental and emotional stress, but the trauma from growing up, it doesn't have to be current. It's stored trauma. Excessive exercise. A lot of my clients come to me and I have to revamp their workout program. They're doing way too much cardio. It's not really beneficial. You can get more results in less time. And trust me, I used to do 20 hours a week training for Ironmans. I know I was doing the longer version, but now I'm like 45 minutes. I get all I need and then do a longer bike, a longer run on the weekend. But weekdays, you don't need to do what I used to do to get the same results. Speed work, hill repeats, a lot of low heart rate training, you're good. But longer is not better always, right? So we want to look at gut pathogens as we talk about parasites, bacteria, and yeast. Those are triggers of internal sources of hidden chronic stress. Poor sleep habits, nutrient deficiencies, poor diet. I see clients say their values of nutrients are all super low because they were eating wheat or cross contaminants of wheat, cross reactive foods, and having their gut wall lining damaged. If your gut wall lining, mucosal layer, is damaged, so from the shag rug to Berber carpet rug, you're not absorbing any of those nutrients. So even if you're eating this healthy diet, if you're not digesting and absorbing the nutrients correctly, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be malnourished. So we have to look at, always start with what you're eating, when, why, and how, but proper digestion and proper absorption, so proper gut health. So those toxic chemicals, we talk about heavy metals, food sensitivities, leaky gut. So really important to do that hair tissue mineral test. It's super affordable by upgraded formulas or other ones. Okay, so I just want to touch one more thing. Liver congestion and thyroid, because this is never really talked about. So let's go over my notes here. Liver congestion, when the liver is congested, the ability of the liver to convert the thyroid hormone, remember T4 is inactive. It needs to convert to T3 to make it active thyroid hormone. It needs to produce thyroid binding globulin. It needs to clear excess estrogen. So if the liver is congested, it is not able to convert the thyroid, produce TBG, and clear the excess hormone estrogen. So liver is almost like first digestion, start with that. Then I work on the liver. Is it functioning? Do we need to support it with liver sauce and a detox binder or a liver GI or some type of something? Milk thistle tea, dandelion, we do whatever the client needs. So the TBG levels decline. This reduces the thyroid hormone transport to the target cells. T4 to T3 conversion is compromised, slowing metabolic activity. And then the list goes on, but reverse T3 levels can increase. So that's putting the brakes on the metabolism. Also, we can see estrogen levels rise. And this isn't just women, this is men too. Estrogen competes for T3 on the TBG binding sites. So low thyroid function can be a result of a sluggish liver and gallbladder function. And this increases the toxic burden on the liver and sets the stage for a vicious cycle of dysfunction. So if you're one of those that I've friends and clients have been on thyroid medication forever, are you addressing the whole picture? Probably not. So let's look at that. Sources of liver congestion. Okay, let's wrap this up. Genetic factors that downregulate detox pathways. We've got toxic chemicals, heavy metals. Again, those gut pathogens, parasites, bacteria, and yeast. Oxidative stress, inflammation, circulating immunoglobulins, chronic alcohol use. I know a lot of people that drink every night. It's not good for you. Medications, leaky gut, hormone imbalances, constipation, big sign, liver congestion. So we want to look at the whole picture. We want to look at toxic burden. Doing the hair tissue mineral test will tell us any heavy metals, lead and cadmium inhibit the conversion of T4, T3 and damage the thyroid gland. So if you have heavy metals, that's not always going to show up on a different test. You need a hair tissue mineral test to find out what minerals are out of balance. So you got to look at all of it, because if you're just taking that supplement or that medication, it's not helping. So special considerations. Phase 1, 2, and 3 of liver detox must be supported in order to reduce the total body burden. The pathways of elimination are super important. So I always want to look at phase 1 and 2, but before we start any detox protocol, are you peeing and pooping and sweating and breathing? Is everything flowing out your drainage pathways correctly? So we want to look at the GI tract, the kidney, skin, and lymph system. Doing the dry brushing, doing the sauna, all that really helps. Doing the rebounder. We got to look at it all. It's not simple. This is complicated, I know, but there's so much to being your best self, feeling your best, and performing your best, right? So daily coffee enemas, magnesium, taking more fiber, supporting the GI. We really want to help support that liver detoxification and the upregulation of the glutathione pathway. We can look at different drainage pathways to support, or look at different protocols to support the drainage pathways to kidney, liver, and the lymph. We want to look at, like I did yesterday, near-infrared sauna, dry brushing, and shower hydrotherapy provides cellular and skin lymph support. We want to get rid of that negative thought, those negative thoughts and emotions. They can stagnate the vital energy of the liver. So really fascinating on that. And that can impede the detoxification of chemicals, hormones, and metals, heavy metals. And I must say, if you look at the Chinese medicine liver clock, it's between, I think, 1 and 2 a.m., 2 to 3. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, it could be because your liver's overworking because you have congestion, the parasites are more active at night. So a lot of triggers there. Also, of course, your cortisol is high when it's supposed to be low. So really looking at all these labs to figure out what's going on with you. So weight loss can be a challenge. And sometimes if you just figure out, is the liver functioning, if we can get the toxic chemicals that are stored in the fat cells, weight loss, if toxins are stored in your fat cells, what happens when you start doing a weight loss program or you start doing lower carb and you start exercising more? You're releasing these toxins that are stored in your fat cells. And so they're going to also overload that liver because it has to go through that washing machine process and drainage pathways to get rid of those toxins. So they're circulating our body. So we want to make sure we have proper support, get a binder, but that could impact your thyroid function as well because it's all connected, right? So remember, we can't convert the liver, is congested, we can't convert the inactive thyroid T4 to T3. And so we want to look at all that. So we want to avoid rapid weight loss and support the pathways of elimination first before we start a protocol, before we start weight loss program. Then the last bit I don't really have time to go into, but gut function, thyroid health. So I'll just finish with this. Health begins in the gut. Did you know that the gut is home to over 70% of our immune system? In the GALT tissue, G-A-L-T, it's called gut-associated lymphoid tissue, GALT. It serves as physical and chemical barrier between us and the outside world. The gut microbiome consists of thousands of species of bacteria that are continuing to learn more from this. Current research keeps going, getting more information, more and more. But part of this microbiome, this bacteria, can drive up production of neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, and GABA. We can activate the vagus nerve that we've spoken about. The main line of communication between the gut and the brain is your vagus nerve. So listen to my podcasts. We've done a few with Dr. Jay Wiles and Rhonda Collier a few times over the years on your heart rate variability. If you're measuring that HRV and how you can stimulate that vagus nerve to improve your HRV score, that's connecting your gut and brain. So a lot of times poor HRV score can be related to less resiliency, but maybe it's your gut microbiome dysfunction. So the microbiome also is involved in nutrient breakdown and absorption. So if we have poor diversity, we're also not getting the breakdown and absorption, and produces intestinal sulfatase. So that's necessary for 20% of the thyroid hormone production. So we do convert some of the thyroid in our gut. So we need to make sure our liver and gut is healthy and our stress is managed. So we manage our cortisol levels in optimal ranges because all this impacts our thyroid. So blood sugar, insulin, and thyroid health is another area. Leptin, autoimmunity, so much to go into. Gluten, the gut, and thyroid. So we learn all this as FDN practitioners, but how it's all connected, and the immune system, how it's involved, and the Treg cells, and inflammation in your body. So tons to go into, but just wanted to say that today because I am frustrated that people are not getting the help that they need, and they're trying to do all the right things that their doctor tells them, that they hear about, and you're kind of end up piecemealing everything together. You might be taking 20 supplements and they're not really helping what you really need to work on. And so start with digestion, start managing your blood sugar, manage your stress, look at those adaptogens, mushrooms, reishi, look at all the stuff you can do now. And then if you need help, do some functional lab testing with a practitioner as myself or someone you might know. But that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm following my purpose because no one was there to help me as an endurance athlete that understood me and really looked at the whole picture, because doctors don't have time to do this. I'll spend 10 hours on someone's case and really looking at research and looking at high aluminum toxicity. How is that related to gut health and damage to their gut and signs and symptoms of heavy metal or whatever it might be. So really, if you are struggling, reach out and get help. You can message me. We can set a call to discover more. But really look at, if you're one of those that are, taking all these supplements and really still struggling, trying to figure all of this out, it is confusing. So just know that just taking a supplement or medication doesn't really help get to the root causes of what's broken, what's imbalanced, contributing to low thyroid. So just an example, but what to it. All right, guys, that is all of my thoughts for today. Enjoy the day.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.